What is going on, guys? Smooth Racing here, back a brand new video, and today we have a F1 2014 Singapore Grand Prix race preview. This is the 14th round of the FIA Formula 1 2014 World Championship, and the championship battle has certainly reached fever pitch between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. Got to be the main talking point for this weekend's Grand Prix. It really could be quite crucial for the championship. For Hamilton certainly to continue trying to beat his teammate. Of course, he beat him in the last race in Italy, gaining 7 points on him, and he really needs to try and do that for the next few rounds, and hope that Rosberg has a bit of bad luck, maybe has a mechanical failure. But for Hamilton, if he can beat Rosberg in every round, he will win the championship. But of course, that is a lot easier said than done, because Rosberg, of course, has a lot to fight for, and still a lot to prove with the British media, I think, and a lot of people, to prove he does have the pace to match Lewis Hamilton. Even though, of course, he showed that numerous times throughout the season, some people still aren't convinced about Nico Rosberg being a rightful winner, of course, with calls of him being a cheat and that. But hopefully everyone will just put that aside, and all the controversy about Monza, him purposely going wide at going straight on at turn 1 to give Hamilton the victory. If you call him a cheat, then why would he do that? So people, and I think, need to stop with the conspiracies, because unless we actually hear any official, I think we should just carry on and just look at the racing rather than what's happening off track with all the conspiracy theories. I think we should just concentrate on what is a great on track battle between the pair, and hopefully that will continue for Singapore. Unlike in Monza, hopefully we'll actually have some wheel-to-wheel battle between Rosberg and Hamilton. I'd really like to see that, and I think for the benefit of the championship, I suppose I would like Hamilton to win. The next few races, basically, I just want it to go down to Abu Dhabi, but I don't want it to be decided by a double point, so I suppose you can't really have it both ways. But I think we are set for a thrilling climax to this season. Certainly I can't see Rosberg dominating, and I certainly can't see Lewis Hamilton dominating, as of course he's 22 points behind Nico Rosberg. But think about it this way, if Rosberg has a mechanical failure in Singapore and Hamilton wins, then the tables are turned. If Hamilton has a failure, then of course Nico Rosberg wins, then it's about 47 points ahead. So there are major implications, and right now it's really crucial to be getting as many points and just hoping that your car is reliable. Of course, there are things out of control. Rosberg lost the victory in Silverstone, and Hamilton arguably would lost it in Australia. Canada, you could argue it was his fault, partially, and then of course in qualifying he's had a lot of bad luck. So that a lot of obviously bad luck has gone Hamilton's way, but he really needs to put that aside, because at the end of the day, if Rosberg does win the championship, he can't say, oh well, that was a good year, bad luck cost me the championship, let's just move on. He'll be so disappointed with himself for not picking up those points when he should have done. Qualifying here is crucial. With overtaking is pretty difficult, although we do sometimes see some of the moves of the year, so expect some really good overtaking from the the experienced hands of Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, Valtteri Bottas, who has proven himself to be a very good overtaker, and also Daniel Ricciardo. I expect Daniel Ricciardo definitely to be up there, possibly even challenging for the win. But hopefully we will get a close fight for the win. And wouldn't it be great if we saw Red Bull rising up to Mercedes to really challenge them, just to throw it a 4 Mercedes side between Rosberg and Hamilton. If one of the Red Bulls could get in amongst them, they could be picking up some surprise victories. Of course, Ricciardo's probably arguably too far back now. He did need a good result in Monza, which arguably it was a really good result, but got better to the Mercedes duo. Of course, it wasn't enough, but he's still there to pick up the pieces and could definitely do some damage to Rosberg or Hamilton's championship hopes, if he can get in between them, or if he can actually beat both of them. If we look back at the history of the Singapore Grand Prix, then we've got Fernando Alonso has won it twice, of course, most controversially in 2008. Lewis Hamilton's actually only won it once in 2009, but should have won it in 2012 if he wouldn't have had that mechanical failure. And in that same year, Sebastian Vettel, of course, won the Singapore Grand Prix, and that started his surge to the title, his very late surge. So, could be a resurgent of form for Vettel, but I don't expect him to beat Ricciardo at this race, or, suddenly flick a switch and he started beating Ricciardo. It doesn't really work like that. I think last year we saw, Vettel just being at one with the car, and I think these sets of rules really do suit Ricciardo's driving style. Just like in the past 4 years, that set of rules has really, suited Sebastian Vettel, and it's all about him basically, relearning everything. And of course, he's going to be behind Ricciardo now. take nothing away from Ricciardo, because I think for me he's the best driver on the grid for this year, of course, not taking into account all the others years, but I think for 2014 he's definitely been the best driver on the grid. If we look further behind then, well, we should expect a closer fight between Williams and Ferrari, of course going head to head in the constructors fight for third place. Williams, of course, now with a 15-point lead thanks to that third and fourth place from Massa and Bottas in Italy. And of course, Monza was arguably their worst result of the season, Ferrari in front of the home crowd. So they'll be hoping Singapore, where engines aren't quite as important, definitely expect an improvement from them. And also McLaren should be fairly well up there. A really poor showing for them in Monza, considering how good they were looking in qualifying and in early part of the race. And also Force India usually run pretty well around here. They've got a few shock results sometimes, so I think probably more likely Sergio Perez will get a good result at the moment. Although Hulkenberg does like this track, so expect a close fight between Perez and Hulkenberg, especially as Perez has arguably had the edge over Hulkenberg for the past 3 races, and this is looking really good for Perez's future, which you could say arguably is under a bit of pressure from John Keller. Maybe not for 2015, but certainly I think for 2016 and beyond. But Perez is definitely putting in some really good performances. And really, Hulkenberg does need a bit of improvement. I doubt, Force India would sack him, but just for his own, personal gain. And this, most important time of the year for next year, looking ahead to next year, he really got to be doing well in these last few races. But moving on down the grid then, and we've got Toro Rosso, who is surprisingly in 7th place with 19 points only. They seem to always be up there in the midfield, but only, scoring points on a few occasions to get 19 points. It's been a poor season for Toro Rosso, I think. If you look at their points tally, been really an unreliable year. Singapore may be a good track for them, but we'll have to see, how well Fiat and Verne can do. Maybe a low points finish is probably the best they can hope for. Looking further back, it's going to be a really good opportunity for Sauber in 10th place to score some points. Adrian Sutil's pretty good at this track, and him and Gutierrez will be hoping to score their first points of the season, and crucially they need 2 or more. I think if they got 2 they would be ahead, because they've had more 11th place finishes. Actually, Russia haven't had any, thanks to Adrian Sutil's in Hungary and Australia. So judging on that basis, I think Sutil's probably a lot more likely to score points than Gutierrez. He hasn't really shown much signs of scoring points since Monaco, and that's going to derail his whole season. So expect Sutil or Gutierrez to be really up there pushing, and should have a lot more pace than they did in that car in Monza, because it was awfully off the pace. Lotus, on the other hand, you could argue could be up there as well after a really good result last year for them, but of course nothing's the same for them since last year. But I think, maybe Lotus and Sauber, a good opportunity for them to score. Lotus aren't really under much pressure unless Sauber got a few, started picking up the points, and maybe, even got, say, a 6th or a 7th place in Abu Dhabi, and they could be right up there, even ahead of Toro Rosso. But of course, their main aim is to score points and, make sure they are at least 9th in the constructors. And further back, Marussia and Caterham, arguably one of their, since Monaco, their best chance to score points. But I think on true pace, they're definitely not up to the standards of the cars in front of them. And I think Marussia and Caterham are going to be a lot closer fight, with Kobayashi could probably finish ahead of both of Marussia's, which he did so well to do in Monza. And I think Kobayashi should keep his seat after, such a strong showing. How can you, not let him race for this Singapore Grand Prix? So I think Caterham may be ahead of Marussia for this next round, but we'll have to see. And that's pretty much it then for this video. I really hope you've enjoyed. Be sure to put your top 3, top 5, or even top 10 prediction down in the comment section below. I'm going with Hamilton, Rosberg, Ricciardo. Let me know what you think, and I really hope you enjoy the race. I've been racing, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.